Adelaide's property market has been on fire for a few years now, with some areas experiencing huge growth.
In Christie's Beach, our days on market are about 25 days, so you've got to be really quick.
Jason Mills, elite agent at Ray White, shares key on-the-ground insights on where he's seeing the most market pressure right now towards the end of 2024. This is the stuff that can take months before it turns into data. I'm talking about the raw numbers and market demand that's fueling Adelaide's price pressure in select locations. Why Forestville?
If you saw the stats, you would just keep going. However,
So this is really happening.
this is a big project that's going to start at the end of this year.
What is number 3 on the list, man?
It is a little tightly held secret because
Has the Adelaide property market done its dash, or are there still select locations producing massive results? It's exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode. My name's Todd Sloan. You're listening to the Pizza and Property Podcast, and this is my chat with Jason Mills. Jason Mills, it's been a while. How you going?
it's been a long time, Special Agent Sloan. I miss you, man.
Man, I haven't been called that in a little while. But you're on the show today to really give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. Not the stuff that the data tells us in a month, 2, 3 months' time, but the stuff that you're seeing on the ground now in Adelaide. We've got 3 of your hotspots that you're really seeing pressure build up, and a little bit of a 4th bonus one to stick around at the end for. But before we get into these 3, mate, is there anything that you wanted to really set the stage with?
Oh, just that I've been in the game for 20 years, Todd. I've seen the market come and go, highs and lows. And it's just, like you said, it's that connectivity, that exposure. I guess I've been 20 years in this game, a bit of a veteran, long in the tooth. So I feel like I also make a deliberate effort to connect with other agents that are long in the tooth as well. We have coffees, and together we have a real strong sense of where the market's going, because we see trends before most average agents at a lower volume because our turnovers are much higher. We're 3 or 4 agents in our volume each.
Because what are you selling now, like 70, 80 properties a year?
Yeah, typically 70, 80. This year I'm going to push towards 100.
Yeah, okay. And just put that in perspective. A normal agent will probably sell like 20, 30, 40 maybe. So like, I see what you mean. So you're seeing 2 to 3 years worth of volume in a year.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so this is the thing that gives you a little bit more of a sneak peek. You're not just seeing a couple of properties. It kind of gives you a better sample size from what you're seeing only both personally and in the office.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, Jace, what is our first cab off the rank, man? What's number 1?
Our first cab off the rank is Christie's Beach.
Christie's Beach.
It's very close to my heart. I brought my first property there about 20 years ago for $170,000.
170. It seems like a joke now.
Yeah, I feel like that old man where, you hear the old time saying, "Oh, I remember when I brought my property for $170,000.
Where is your old man voice from?
And The Simpsons, kind of meets Family Guy.
Oh, mate, they're certainly not selling for 170,000 now.
No.
I know Christie's has already seen a lot of growth, but what's the pressure you're currently seeing? Like now we're recording this, just to timestamp this, around that kind of September 2024 mark.
I'll give you an idea. We had an auction campaign in Ferry Street. I honestly thought it would sell for around $750. The auction campaign very quickly on the day of auction went to $850 from the locals. Then the developers kicked in between $850 to about $910. And then I had one buyer from out of town, I've never seen them before, just yell out $1 million for a 1970s 3-bed, 1-bath in Christie's Beach.
How far back from the beach are we talking?
26 houses back from the beach.
Oh, so this isn't like just one street back.
This is like 3, 4 streets back.
That's nuts, man. So you got $1 million for a 3-bed, 1-bath. How many square meters is the block?
About 880.
Okay, so a good sized block though.
Yeah,
But
the client's hoping to put about 4 or 5 on it in a row, looking towards the ocean.
And the comps were saying around 750. And you said this was a week ago?
About 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Yep.
That's insane. Okay. And is this in isolation, or are you seeing this in Christie's kind of overall?
If there's development potential, the developers are discovering it, doing the homework and jumping in quick. So I think it's a really good opportunity to try and connect with agents off market to establish those off market opportunities, which we'll talk a bit more about later as well.
What else are you actually seeing then as far as Christie's and pressure? Is there anything else to note before we move on to the next one?
So there's a lot of pressure from buyers advocates from interstate trying to secure deals beforehand. And it's really good. I've actually got a lot of good relationships with those buyers advocates now. And I feel that's a good avenue to build those connections with agents locally.
Okay. So you're saying a lot of the pressure is actually coming from BAs interstate?
Yep, which tells me they've done their homework, they know it's a good thing, they know it's a good deal, and they're trying to make it happen for their clients interstate.
Interesting, man. All right. Before we move on to number 2, is there any sort of quick stats you want to run through with this one?
Just in Christie's Beach at the moment, our days on market are about 25 days. So within 3 weeks, it's gone.
Yeah, okay.
So you've got to be really quick. You've got to do due diligence well in advance. And also infrastructure-wise, the T2T project, which is the state government's claim it's going to take about 30 to 40 minutes off your commute time. So you can live at Christie's Beach, jump on the Southern Expressway, 100-kilometre road to the tunnel, take the tunnel underground to Anzac Highway, and then you've got one more set of lights and you're in the city. That's amazing.
Is there an estimated completion on that? Because I've been building that for a little while now.
Well, all the shops have been acquired now, so they've cleared all the site now along the South Road, so you can see it's all happening, and it's going to be about 10 years. But
10 years, okay.
But that's a typical growth cycle of of the property market, right?
Yeah.
So that on top of commute and infrastructure upgrades, I think that's a pretty exciting equation.
All right, and 25 days on market. And what's our median house price in Christie's at the moment?
It's around 750. Hence that auction result was unreal.
Gotcha. All right, man. What's number 2 on the list?
Number 2, Forestville.
Forestville. All right. Why Forestville?
Well, there's a huge site there. It's called the Lacornu site, and that's going to be a huge infill project where the state government's spending a lot and actually going to develop the first urban farm on the roof.
Urban farm. Okay. I recall years ago that was bought by Kaufland, the German supermarket giant.
That's right.
And then nothing happened with it. So it's now going out to residential.
Yep, residential, and there's going to be about 30% open space, which is a really good outcome as well for the Forestville community as well.
Right. Okay. So I'm a little bit surprised to see Forestville on the list because, what is Forestville? 3-4 Ks from the city?
Not even. It's under a K.
Okay, under a K. Well, it's way off. But the median house price, though, this has got to be a bit further than most investors are wanting to spend. Where does it sit in?
So this is why I wanted to flag it, because I think if you saw the stats, you would just keep going. The average median price right now is $952,000. However, that is for old capital homes on big blocks. But what I'm thinking is there's going to be a lot of apartment and townhouse sort of product being built in the area, and that's where I think the opportunity lies.
Okay, so more the townhouse living because of the proximity to Adelaide. How have you been seeing sales for that kind of product go? Is there a lot of pressure around it?
There's all the product I've recently appraised in the area is highly desirable, and the people that bought off the plans have made about $200,000.
Yeah, right.
Since they purchased a year ago, which I think that's a pretty good gain.
Off the plan is definitely not something that we would normally recommend on this channel, but this is where you're seeing the pressure move. And what I'm hearing from this is it's more so to do with Adelaide is not generally known as a townhouse city. But from this ring, you're seeing a lot more demand in that townhouse area.
There is. There's a lot of people who they don't want to live an hour away from the city. They want to be able to go out and have drinks, meet their friends in the city, have a good kind of urban lifestyle, but they can't afford it because as that average price says, it's $950. But my anticipation is you'll be able to get in around 600 to 800.
All right, so median house price around $950. There's a lot of development going on there. You're seeing a real shift towards that kind of townhouse lifestyle because it's so close to the city. What about demand? What are you seeing on the ground?
The most recent product I've had open, I've had over 100 buyers come through in 3 weeks. I've actually had an email from head office at Ray White saying it's one of the highest viewed properties via inspection attendance in Australia.
In Australia?
In Australia.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so there's some serious pressure going on there because, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to make this with Jason as well, because if you look at the data right now, you can see that there is price pressure on Forestville. Price pressure and getting a phone call from Mr. Ray White to say this is one of the most viewed properties in the country is a very different thing. And this is why it's going to be interesting to start tracking that. If this is the kind of investment that you're after, if you're looking for something a little bit more blue chip, obviously your yield probably going to take a little bit of a hit in Forestville. What's your average yield in Forestville at the moment, Jace?
Average yield is about 3%, which is a bit lower at the moment because it's based on that higher median price, which was around $950,000. But my anticipation is you'll be able to buy that apartment and townhouse sort of stock lower than that, and it'll be a better yield because it'll be high demand because so many people want to live that close to the city.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about with Forestville before we move on to the next one and before we get to our fourth bonus area, which is totally different to Forestville, I've got to say. But is there anything else you want to wrap up with on this area?
Nah, Forestville, I'm happy. Let's move to number 3.
All right. What is number 3 on the list, man?
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
This guy brings his own sound effects. I love it.
O'Sullivan's Beach.
O'Sullivan's Beach. Okay.
For the players at home who don't know, it's the next northern suburb to Christie's Beach. And it is a little tightly held secret because it used to be bordering an oil refinery. But that oil refinery is now gone and being mothballed and it's been decontaminated. And my expectation from the state government, they'll do something similar to what they did at the Mitsubishi site at Tonsley, where it will become a light industrial area. But on top of that, I'm aware through just being connected to the market and having lots of friends that are developers, there's a huge land release coming up in O'Sullivan's Beach, which is going to have two bonus effects for the locals. It's going to be a beautiful buffer between the residential area and the industrial area, which currently it's an open field. And secondly, it'll rapidly increase the capital value in the area, because by the time you buy the land, do the works, landscape, and build the home, it's going to be close to $1 million. Whereas the average sale price right now is, drum roll, O'Sullivan's Beach is $608,000.
So you're looking at this as it's going through a bit of a gentrification, because some of the parts of the area that are undesirable, that were really kind of bringing it down a little bit, are about to be cleaned up. Plus, then there's the 120 odd new lots, I think. I think it's about 120.
Yep.
Something like that are being developed at the moment, which what you're looking at this is that's going to lift the median up.
100%. Yep. Confident.
Right. Okay. And O'Sullivan's Beach has always been that little forgotten one. Like I still think part of the reason for it is just putting the comma in when you're on realestate.com.
It is so hard to search for. You try, you'll find the trouble.
Yeah. And so you've been selling in O'Sullivan's Beach for
20 years.
20 years.
Yep.
Okay. So as far as on the ground knowledge, what are you seeing, something that's current that really speaks to why O'Sullivan's Beach has made the list?
All right. O'Sullivan's Beach is not your typical desirable suburb that you can think, oh, I'm going to go live at like Glenelg, for example, right? I had a buyer who used to live at Brighton choose to live at O'Sullivan's Beach over Brighton.
And just to put that in perspective for anyone that's in Sydney, Glenelg is like Bondi. If you're in Melbourne, it's kind of like, what are we talking, St Kilda. It's the trendy spot. And Brighton pretty much next door. Yep. Well, not next door, like a few suburbs down.
The posher version of it.
Yeah. Okay. And so they're actually going, I want to live in O'Sullivan's Beach. Why?
Price point. So they bought this property off me as a corner block, renovated, 3-bed, 1-bath for $606,000, which speaks to the average sale price there of $608,000.
Yeah, right. And as far as that's concerned for demand levels, was this the kind of thing that there was umpteen people still fighting for this, or
young families? Where can you buy a product now for that sort of money? $606,000. That's incredible. Like unit prices in the neighbouring suburbs are like $500, $550. So to get a freestanding 3-bed, 1-bath for $606,000 is a good deal on a decent block still. Still, that was about 450 square metres.
And pretty much everywhere on O'Sullivan's Beach is walking distance to the beach. Like it's a small suburb.
Yeah, tiny.
All right, so our top three: Christie's Beach, Forestville, O'Sullivan's Beach. They've all got their differences. Our fourth one on the list. Now, you obviously gave me a peek behind the curtain before we started. I wasn't expecting you to say this. What is it, man? What's our bonus area?
It is called Whyalla.
Whyalla. Now, for anyone that's not from South Australia that doesn't know Whyalla, how far are we talking from the city?
It's about 2.5 hours from the city.
So we're going proper regional now?
We're going super regional.
Okay. And why Whyalla?
Well, I'm a bit of a greenie at heart. I drive an EV, so I'm interested in sustainable practices and big projects for the state as well. And the state government's plan is to export clean energy using solar and wind and to power this hydrogen plant, which is going to export. They've already got contracts with Japan and Korea, and it's going to demand.
So you already got. So this is really happening.
This is a big project that's on the radar that's been in the pipeline for some time. Like they've committed to construction. It's going to start at the end of this year.
Okay. And so how many jobs is this creating approximately?
At least 1,000 in the construction phase, but ultimately once the plant's up and running, there'll be about 2,000. 2,000
ongoing jobs. Okay, so the insane thing that I thought about this is the whole population of Whyalla is around like the 20,000 mark, isn't it? So we're talking about shifting the dial percentage-wise by a very significant amount.
Yep, and you're going to have a lot of high-skilled labour coming in. Like the government wants to try and use as much local labour as they can, but skill-wise, they're going to have to bring in import labour as well.
So all those people naturally are going to need somewhere to stay. Okay, and do you know if the companies are setting up any kind of like camps like Roxby, that kind of thing?
They are. There will be those sort of camps for, I guess, the fly in, fly out or drive in, drive out. I didn't know that was a thing. Do you know that? DIDO.
I've never heard the acronym, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
I only just learned that. And so there will be those sort of camps, but ultimately the people that have made a choice, because it's actually quite a nice place to live. There's wetlands, there's access to Flinders Ranges. Like it's actually some beautiful things. Like I don't know if you heard about the cuttlefish breeding season.
No. Okay.
So there's a beautiful thing to do. I think B would love it. You should go up there during the cuttlefish breeding season. It's one of the most colourful underwater displays you can ever imagine.
Okay. I'm kind of terrified of the ocean, but she might enjoy it. All right, man. And as far as median house price, can you give us a few quick stats on Whyalla? Because this is one of the reasons I thought this was great to chuck in. Because Forestville on the list, obviously we're talking 950, talking 650 for O'Sullivan's Beach, 750 for Christie's Beach. Where are we for Whyalla?
Whyalla's a very, very affordable price point of $381,000.
Okay, so if someone's maybe got their serviceability hit with all the interest rate rises that have happened over the past few years, this could be something worth looking into.
I think so.
What are we looking at yield-wise?
Yield-wise, it is, computer says, 5.38%.
So 5.38% yield as an average. So if we're looking at putting some deals together, it's not going to be unlikely to actually see something in the sixes potentially. Okay, all right. And then as far as the future demand potential, you're seeing this really backed more so from the projects that's being like greenlit.
So, and this project will be ongoing. I think this project's going to demonstrate South Australia's capacity to be an export of power. Because at the moment, Australia does export a lot of gas and coal overseas. But to meet our carbon zero targets, like we're going to have to shift our thinking on that. And I think this hydrogen off the back of solar and wind is incredible.
All right, coming towards the pointy end of things, mate, is there anything else that you wanted to sort of wrap things up with, maybe specifically to Whyalla and then any of the other areas?
Sure. So Whyalla is a bit of a garlic bread bonus for us today.
Okay, I love it.
And the reason why I wanted to put that in on top of the pizza is that I feel I'm not actually in that market. However, I'm just seeing data from Ray White. We get a monthly report and the Adelaide's average median price has gone up 2%, but regionally it's gone up 5%. And I think that's an early indicator that there's great potential in regional SA.
Interesting. So you're not looking at this as this is the hotspot that I'm seeing or the on-the-ground pressure, but it's the potential of where it could be moving to.
It's a forecast backed by government projects.
Love it. Jason Mills from Ray White Real Estate, thank you so much for jumping on the show, mate.
Pleasure, Todd.